back to another game devlog. So on on Monday, I was working on the uh, the mouth weight painting issue. When I was testing um, certain animations, the mouth was open. Um, so I was able to I broke something in Blender and I was having import troubles again. I deleted some sort of critical weight painting for the tail and everything was funny and messed up. The animations were cooked. So I backtracked and finally got it sorted out. So basically, I had to add this tongue bone to the head, and that helped to weight paint the longer nose here, that keep the teeth and all the mouth in place. Because I guess it's just too far away from the head bone where it can't properly. Um, no amount of weight painting would be able to actually solve the issue until I added that extra bone. So um, I was able to get the Magica cloth working for the lower coat here. Um, and this is like the one package that's been surprisingly easy and just works, you know, like it has good tutorials, good support, and it's just like everything just, you know, works like how it should. So I'll give a quick demo about, so you can kind of see the coat kind of moves fluently, and it's nice because it's separate from the animations now, and it has like I was able to set up colliders for the legs, so it doesn't bleed through the legs. It like respects the collider, the coat, so looks really good. Um, so this this week I was able to get the new model in place of the old one, and this whole week was pretty much about rebuilding the character controller. Like a second pass. The initial character controller was as good as a placeholder, but now this is going to be the production level character, and this has to be, the second pass. I have to really go for it and make it, really nice. So I got got the new mesh swapped out, and I was able to get the running working. I had to, so now I'm really going in and modifying the Vector animator, out of the box animator, even further, cleaning up a lot of stuff I'm not using, like melee stuff, and I'm diving back in the second pass of, really getting to the complexities of the animation controller, the blend trees, because now I decided to start working on adding new animations as the first thing. So adding this new running animation, like, I had to kind of work backwards because the running animation has a oh great, I'm trapped on the wall now. The running animation has a weapon equip pose, so I have to kind of do the opposite and do a layer that kind of uses the invector excuse me, uses the invector unarmed running. So back to working with layers and and layer mask overwrites. Um, so by the end of Monday, I was able to equip the pistol, but the IK was totally broken. Have to redo that. So all the IK states. But I did test out the performance of Magic Cloth in a build, and the good news is it's not heavy at all. This new model, even though it's like a bunch more skin meshes and you got dynamic hair and all that, dynamic cloth, it's actually it doesn't critically impact the performance and the frame rate, um, which is good. So I plan on doing some custom animation work for dual pistols, and then for like running strafing. Um, so that means kind of taking base animations and modifying them in Blender. Um, but anyways, on Tuesday, I was working on fixing the pistol IK, and it kind of proved to be challenging integrating new animations into the existing animation controller. Lots of fine tuning and testing. I The idle animation that I used to have for Invector wasn't going to work out. For some reason, the actual blending in the arms of the idle animation with the regular standing pose, the arms would be sticking out, like instead of hanging down the side. So I decided to go into Mixamo and pull out a nice idle animation, and actually I couldn't pop it right into Blender. I had to go, or pop it right into Unity. I had to go into Blender and adapt it to the rig. But once I did that, I was able to make it work for an animation for this armature. That's the good thing about having this new rig now. I can actually add, adapt some animations and add it on top of this without too much issue now. That's pretty much why I did the whole work last week. So now it's becoming a lot more custom on the second pass. I was kind of diving back into the maze to add additional better animation, but the problem is it doesn't really fit Invector's paradigm. Like a good example is like the equipping. If you look at the actual equip animation, let's see, upper body. The one I'm trying to sub in, if you take a look down here, you can see it pull it over the shoulder, and the original animation had you pull it over the shoulder and then it goes down to the idle position. I had to modify this clip in order to branch off from. It gets a little complicated, but what I wanted to do, the original clip, I can just search for it here. Take gun. Yeah, the original, if you can see it down there, it'll pull out the weapon, and then as part of the animation clip, it'll actually go to the idle pose within the same clip. So there's a bit of complexity. I had to figure out how to cut the clip short in half in order to like have a branch, in order to say if you're holding the trigger for after the equip, you're holding the trigger to continue aiming, it'll transition to the aim, or it'll keep the same position for the aim, or if you're not aiming, it'll transition to the equipped idle. So I got so pretty much just doing a lot of testing. Any issue I see, I fix and polish. I got a bunch of little things done, and it was starting to look good. I got the rifle animation standing and aiming looking good. Okay, so on Wednesday I was trying to get the new equip IK to work, and I was trying to modify the existing Invector system. And this time I was really I was really putting the existing IK system through its paces, and it's like I was starting to get into the meat and potatoes like IK. I've worked with IK before, only on a surface level, understanding to get it working good enough for the initial prototype stuff, but this time I wanted to kind of add some things, do some IK work, but the Invector IK system wasn't really allowing me to do it. And the system that the problem is Invector has the system, and I didn't write it, so I didn't understand it. So when something goes wrong with the IK and it's not working, I have no idea what's going on. So it kind of like I was kind of saying, okay, you know, if I had tighter control of the IK and I could actually customize it to my needs, if something goes wrong, I can fine tune it and customize it. So the vector system is good out of the box with the animations it provides, but if you're trying to apply like a different kind of paradigm, your animations aren't aligned with their system. Adding your own customizations on top of the system really, it's really hard to understand. And it's like, how does this work? So eventually, I was trying to get into the code and adjust their system, but then I was modifying their system, and you don't really want to do that. Like, so I kind of started looking at alternative solutions in order to provide an IK system that can do what I wanted to do for the equip. Like, what I was trying to do with Invector was basically when you do an equip, I couldn't really add a new state to tightly control the IK positioning for that animation. I wasn't able to add new states on top of the existing states very easily. I wanted a way to actually I kind of want to emulate Invector to actually, instead of like offsets, but like you're pretty much recording like IK attach positions per state. So I needed a way to like use SO data, kind of like Invector, to like record these and then detect which animation state, pose state you're in, and kind of transition the actual handles. So if you're going from idle to aiming, it'll know the correct positions for the IK based on each pose. So I was envisioning spending time, you know, moving away from Invector's limited IK system and implementing my own IK system. So I started researching, and I bought this package called Final IK, and basically it's the same, mostly the same as animation rigging, and animation rigging is free. I worked with animation rigging before to actually um, solve my little corner aiming issue, and it worked pretty good for the most part. Um, but I decided to try my hand with Final IK, and I was thinking, you know, why not, you know, move to a unified IK system with one robust package encompassing one encompassing tool that I already paid for. So I was gonna have to do aim IK again, anyways. So I was able to kind of look through the documentation and, you know, see what Final IK can do, and it's pretty good. It can handle a whole bunch of stuff, almost like overkill, if you ask me, but pretty much just another component, and it detects your armature structure. And what you can do is you can assign transforms in order to um, and then turn up the weights in order to have your IK be applied per animation. Um, so I was able to test and assign positions, and so that's good. So my next step was to actually start implementing a kind of emulating the Invector system with with tools, and so that's kind of what I did for Thursday. On Thursday, I I started implementing a structure, this new class called weapon data. Basically, it acts in sort of the same way where you can pose your character, and then you can go through each of these states. Like when you equip, you can actually go to the, where's my go through here, and just like before, you take these attach points and you kind of move them around, and you can kind of position where it should be. You can rotate and you know, get the pose exactly where it should be. Basic IK stuff. And then once you've done all that, what I implemented tools to where go to the actual gun here, way down in the structure. So once you've positioned everything in the IK, you can actually set the key that you want to record for it, hit a button, and it'll set the values here. And then on the next playthrough, it'll be in the place that it should be. So yeah, it'll end up here wherever you set it. So getting these, yeah, spent all Thursday getting these things in place, and the same thing, I can lock the aim and freeze the animator for better. So basically, it's, you know, doing the same thing that Invector's doing, but it's a new system that allows me to use this final IK to position instead of these offsets, and it allows me to add custom things like you know, custom data per state. Say if I wanted to have the weapon in a slightly different position per state. So I had to pretty much make, also I had to make a an animation state controller. This is like one central place that has logic that kind of reads the correct, you know, from all the different variables throughout the character controller, what is the actual correct animation state at the time, you know, given explicit timing. And basically what happens is the rifle, whenever it's listening to that animation state controller, and whenever a state change is detected, it will reapply, or it will actually lerp the different IK positions from state to state. Doing a lot of testing, you know, it looked pretty good. So one of the things now I'm showing you right now, everything looks messed up. So I had this problem before, where when I was doing unit testing, like every so often a random issue would happen with the SO data, and I couldn't figure out why. And now I'm working with SO data again, And I would spend all this time, positioning the IK and saving it in this SO data, and then all of a sudden I come back to Unity for whatever reason. Maybe I shut it down, or I turn off the computer or a PC, and I come back and all my data would be gone or it'd be corrupted. Part of it would be here, part of it wouldn't. So this is why you're seeing all this messed up IK right now, because I had this looking pretty nice, but I can't demo it right now. As soon as I ended my work for the day, I shut this down. I thought I committed everything, but as soon as I opened it up to record this, all my SO data got wiped out. So now it's all messed up, and I can't even, I can't even demo that. So I'll have to redo it again. This is like the 20th time that I've repositioned the damn IK in order to test it out, and I've had to refactor for this the original design of this new system, and thus I've had to every time I change something, I have to reposition the the IK again. I've done this. I can't tell you how many times I've repositioned this rifle IK and recorded all this. So, but I think I figured out how to actually. So if you make a change in Unity and you change your SO data, it doesn't track immediately in version control. And if you close the Unity player, or if you terminate unexpectedly, it may load the actual file that was last committed to plastic SCM, and you could think that you're actually, oh, I changed the SO, and you could assume, just like everything else, that plastic will pick it up, and if you commit it, it'll be there. Well, that's not the case. It does not detect it, and it does not commit. And when you reopen Unity, it'll revert to the last values saved, which, for me was, 0 on most of them. So I think, I finally understand, like, okay, if you change SO data, you have to pretty much make sure you commit it manually. Otherwise, it'll get erased. I think that'll stop my issues from going forward. But so what else do I have? So I had it working pretty good, but I'll have to redo everything. There's definitely more work going on next week. But I had it working to where I had on Thursday I think I'm having like a hardware issue or a motherboard. My Bluetooth went out, and I was spending hours troubleshooting damn Windows, and I was thinking it was a software issue, but it was really boiled down to a hardware issue. And basically I had to do a full power shutdown and capacitor bleed by holding the power button, and then starting up the Bluetooth radio booted up again. But I've been having to plug in my wired keyboard and my wired mouse and wired controller, and it's been kind of a mess. It happened again, but if it keeps happening, I might have to get new hardware. I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of annoying. So on the end of Thursday, I had the actual aiming animation from idle to aim looking pretty good, but it was still not 100%. I couldn't figure out, it was good enough to be getting on with. So on moving on to Friday, so I was able to get the process of working with this new IK system pretty reasonably, and I was able to get the rifle looking good for idle, aim, and equip. The idle to aim was still transitioning oddly, but I was moving on. So I when I was doing movement and aiming, the actual level of the gun, it wasn't at 90 degrees straight on. Like there's something about the animation where it's the positioning of the walking animation while aiming is high to begin with. So she was pointing a gun at like, a high degree, and I was trying to figure out how to actually solve that. So I figured I should work on the aim IK. I had the aim IK working for mostly working for cover aim, but I figured if I had aim IK working, it would level out it would have a consistent aim target when you're aiming, when you're standing still and when you're walking and aiming. You're strafe aiming, right? So I tried to implement Final IK's aim IK. That would be the right idea to do that, because the aim IK of Final IK, it's on the same system, right? And but my attempts actually failed in doing that. I just couldn't get it to work correctly. There was some odd things going on. It would kind of track the target moving around, but it wouldn't track it precisely, and it was, whatever I did, it would not work as good as the other aim solution that I did before, right? Which was the animation rigging. I really wanted to get it working because it's part of Final Arcade and have one unified system, but I just, for whatever reason, watching the tutorials, looking at the support, trying to troubleshoot it, it just wasn't working right. So I decided to kind of scrap that and then go to the other one that was working before, which was the animation rigging, the the rig builder with the aim rig, the solution I had done before that I got working before. And by watching a tutorial, I was actually able to get it working better than the previous one. It was tracking the actual target pretty closely with all the bones looking pretty good. I got it looking pretty respectable, but again, since the everything is pretty much broken right now for the IK, I can't really demonstrate that. I'll have to demo it next week when all the loose ends are tied up. I have a lot of systems in place, but everything needs to be all the broken pieces need to be put back together for next week. So I had the aim IK working pretty good, and I guess I'll be using the mix of IK solutions. Final IK for the static poses, and then animation rigging for the aim point. I might test it again since I've modified my original. I refactored my original structure several times. So I moved on to the pistol to start, because everything was looking okay for the rifle, all three states. So testing. Let's see if I can actually get the pistol going on here. Yeah, so it's completely. I don't even know what's going on here. man, it's totally destroyed. Yeah, see the IK is totally messed up. I had it looking so good, I swear. Anyways, so you'll just have, we'll just have to imagine how it looks. So I was doing some testing on the idle to equip, and it was actually showing the issue that I was facing in with the rifle. The what was happening in the rifle, like the rifle was down here and it would bring it up for the animation to aim, but it would overshoot and aim it high and then come back down. I couldn't figure out what was going on, And the same thing with the pistol. Like the pistol would be down here, and then when you aim, it would actually bring the pistol back into the body like a big C, like and then out, and the same thing in reverse, back and then out, not just from down to up and up to down. So I couldn't figure out what was going on here. I was like, until I kind of realized, like the structure I had the pistol. Originally, I had these actual attach points. These attach points were underneath as a child of the pistol, and the pistol was a child of the hands. So on a transition from, let's say, idle to aim, she would squat down a little bit, so the actual IK would be affected in real time because it's a child of the hands, and that wasn't quite right. I decided to kind of move the IK points all the way outside, so they'd still move with the character, but they wouldn't be affected directly by the hands. So, and that kind of had the opposite effect. When you're in an idle position, all of a sudden your hands are pretty much static. They're fixed here, while your body is kind of, see how the animation kind of moves. Well, the pistol and the pistol would be kind of, and the IK would be kind of fixed, and it wouldn't move along with the body. So the actual solution was to actually move these IK handles to kind of like the central bone, the central spine bone here. So it would be relative to the character and the movements of the body. So it would pick up, the IK would pick up on the movements of the body, but not the actual arms. So that means when you applied this transition, the IK transitions, the lerping of the IK points per state, it would only affect, the IK, and the hand movement wouldn't affect the IK at the same time. So it wouldn't overshoot and look, not that great. Not you could pass with it, but I tried it this way, restructuring it, putting on the spine, and it looked like totally better. It solved the issues I was facing. So I'm going to go with that solution, but that means that my original IK positioning for the rifle has to be redone. Hopefully all these issues, I'll have it sorted out in due course. But it's just like getting to this point with the system and testing it. It's like once you have a solid system, you can actually build everything the rest out. So it's just getting to this point. So things are kind of still a mess, but so that kind of solved my problem. So yeah, like next week I gotta put all the pieces together. The new system's in place. It just needs to be fleshed out and cleaned up, and then I can have a proper demo, whatever this looks like. Unfortunately, unless I'm gonna put another day in to clean all this up this week, this is the state it's in right now. So I got a couple good things done, and I've, building this new the IK system instead of using vectors, I think it's worth it. But So that way I can customize going forward. There was another issue that I spotted. I fixed just now. I had this in the animator where I do an equip and it would well, I won't talk about this right now, but basically I had this in the equip in the wrong layer, so it would look good if you're standing still doing an equip, but if you're doing an equip while running, it would play the full body animation and you just kind of skate along the ground and not do any running animation. So fix that real quick, but there's a couple other things to be done. Now that I'm getting into these animations, I'm really tempted on and buying the complete set for another $100 of these animations, because it has a really cool pistol draw animation for single and double pistols, because I'm wanting to do double pistol functionality as part of the next steps, but I think I'll wait. I think I'll use my existing draw pistol animations, because it shouldn't be too much of a chore to swap them out whenever, if those things ever go on sale. So after this week, a bunch of work, but I do have a better IK system that I can more easily understand and customize. And the logic is centralized and not spread throughout several Invector classes. Yeah. So more work for next week, but stay tuned, and hopefully I'll have a better demo next week. Okay, see ya. Bye.